I love a good he falls first trope. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And that's how I feel about Isaiah. I'm like, please just let me give you a hug. Like, how dare you ever feel pain before, because you are just such a perfect fictional human being. I honestly don't know if I'm like describing this right. This is why wrap up videos are so hard, because I'm like, am I making sense? Like, are people going to understand what I'm saying? Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is super fun, which is my summer reading wrap up. If you are a frequent watcher of my channel, you know that I have really been slacking when it comes to posting monthly wrap ups. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. It's mainly because, one, I had a huge life change. I moved 15 hours from the Midwest all the way to the East Coast for my first post-grad job. And also just the fact that I haven't been reading that much, and it's not because I'm in a slump. Like, I promise I am not slumping out. It's mainly because I just don't have time to read. And it's really just trying to figure out that sweet spot of, okay, I want to read. I also want to hang out with friends. I also want to work out. Like, just really prioritizing my hobbies, what fills my cup, and how to balance everything on top of a 9-to-5 job. So with that being said, I read 9 books from the months of May, June, and July. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. And yeah. So starting off with the month of May, I read 2 books, both of them being romance books. The first one was Sunlight by Devney Perry. This is actually the second book of the Haven Ranch series by her. It's available for free on Kindle Unlimited, and you can also download the audiobook. One, because you can multitask while listening to it, and I love that. Like, it makes me feel so productive. But also because it is the perfect solution if you are like in the mood to read, but like also don't have the bandwidth to read. Like, if you're just so tired that you can't focus on the words on the page, popping on an audiobook is like the perfect thing ever. It's literally what I do every single night around like 9:30. I'll just like listen to an audiobook if I'm not in the mood to like actually read. But this book centers around Jax and Sasha. Jax is actually the little brother of the main male character from the first book, Crossroads. There is a little bit of a time jump, so he's a lot older in this book, which I really like because we can also see how the characters from the first book progressed and like where they're at in their lives. It's kind of like a fun epilogue moment, if you will. And then our main female character, Sasha, she just recently moved to Montana. She's the new manager of the like resort that is on the ranch. So it's small town, it's forced proximity, it's he falls first, and it's also a little bit of a workplace romance because Jax is not really like a full owner, but he's a partial owner of the ranch. So he's kind of like a boss to Sasha, even though he doesn't really take on that like managerial role on the ranch, but he is an owner. Like, you can't deny that, which really causes some drama in their relationship, I'm not gonna lie. I ended up rating this a 3 stars. I liked it, but I definitely liked the first book more. This book did feel a little bit insta-lovey. I understand they had a meet cute very early on when she moved, and then they time jumped a few months later to like present day to kind of like build that history, but like the first book was a second chance romance. Like, you can't beat the history and tension that comes from a second chance romance, you know what I mean? But I will recommend this book to you if you want something fast paced, easy to read, just like super fun, quick, easy read. Small town, it's a ranch romance, like, come on, what more could you want? Not to mention, it's also he falls first. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I love a good he falls first trope. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So the second book I read during May was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This book has just been a hot topic in the book community, I feel like. I love Abby Jimenez. Like, let me just preface this review by saying that I was very excited about this read. It was also the mark of like a new interconnected standalone series for her, because I know the Part of Your World series kind of has ended, I believe. I didn't love this book, but I also didn't hate it. I'm kind of like in the middle. I enjoyed bits and pieces of it, but like it just didn't hit as hard as her previous book. books. So this book is about Samantha and Xavier, and right off the bat, they just like sparks fly. They have amazing chemistry. They go on a date, and it's like the best date ever. And then Samantha has to leave town for the unforeseeable future because of some family issues. And I would definitely recommend looking up trigger warnings before diving into this book, just because it does deal with like very heavy topics that could really hit home for some people and not be the best read for you, especially if you're looking for that escapism kind of factor. But she leaves and they kind of just part ways. They don't contact each other, but Xavier just can't get her out of his mind. Same with Samantha. And so that kind of prompts them to start this like long distance relationship. And it kind of just like goes into all of these like different things while also trying to navigate Samantha's family issues and like what's going on there. I ended up rating this book at 3 stars. I did really like Samantha and Xavier together. I could see their chemistry. Did I love their meet cute? No, because he's a vet and Samantha literally went in to his clinic because her cat doesn't have like a butthole or something, and the amount of times that I had to read about this cat's non-existent butthole is just like not fun for me. Like, I did not need to know that. I did not need to like read about that. I didn't need to read paragraphs on paragraphs about this cat's butthole situation, okay? I do think this book highlights a lot of great aspects like long distance relationships, dealing with your own issues while also finding that person. It's very much giving right person, wrong time and how to make that work, if you should make that work, kind of that kind of stuff. Like, do not get fooled by the cartoon cute cover that this book has, because it is not a fun, cute romance, okay? It is very heart-wrenching and you will cry. The main reason why I didn't rate this book higher was, one, the long distance aspect. I understand if you are in a long distance relationship, maybe like reading about someone else's struggles would help and like kind of give you an outlet to like relate to somebody, especially in a fictional setting. However, it's just like, I'm reading romance books because I want to see the couple together and like fall in love, and when most of the pages are them away from each other, it's just like not gonna hit as much as if they're like next door neighbors or roommates or something like that. I also didn't love the ending. I didn't love how one of the characters had to, honestly no, both of them really had to compromise to the extent where I am like, is this even worth it? Is this like even worth this person that you've been dating like what, like 6 months, and then for those 6 months you're like apart? Like, I don't know. It was also very insta-lovey. Like, they go on one date and they're just like obsessed with one another, which I didn't love as well. It was just like a ton of things on top of each other. Am I still going to read Abby Jimenez? Yes. Is she still an auto-buy author for me? Yes. And that's all I need to say for this review. I think I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna go on to June now. So moving on, during the month of June, I also read 2 books, and they were also both romance books. So the first book I read was Playalong by Liz Tomford. This is the 4th book of the Windy City series, which is an interconnected standalone sports series that takes place in Chicago, aka the Windy City, obviously. But each book is about a different sports player. So the first one was hockey, the second one was basketball, and then the 3rd and 4th one are about baseball. So this is about Isaiah and Kennedy. Isaiah is actually the younger brother of Kai, the main character from Caught Up. And so we see bits and pieces of him in that book. He's really shown as this like happy-go-lucky, kind of like flirty character. And we also see Kennedy, our main female character, because she is on the like medical team for the baseball team that Kai and Isaiah both play on. So this book is a marriage of convenience, which I love, love, love. It is also He Falls First. It's found family, it's boy obsessed, and obviously it is a baseball sports romance. So I ended up rating this book a 4 stars. I really, really loved Isaiah. Like, he is probably my favorite out of the entire Windy City series. these main characters, I don't know. Ryan is definitely a close second, like, do not get me wrong, but I just love how down bad Isaiah is for Kennedy, and how much he was there for her, for not only like in a romantic setting, but as a friend, just like being there for her because she hasn't ever had that before. Not to mention, I feel like this book really sheds a light on Isaiah and what he is going through and what he's gone through. I have such a soft spot for characters that seem so happy-go-lucky in other books, and then when you get their books, it's like, oh my gosh, you have this, like, you have so much trauma, like, what, you poor soul, like, just let me give you a hug. And that's how I feel about Isaiah. I'm like, please just let me give you a hug. Like, how dare you ever feel pain before, because you are just such a perfect fictional human being. I also quickly just want to discuss how I really wasn't the biggest fan of Caught Up. I didn't really love Kai and Miller. I don't know. It just like wasn't hitting for me as much as I thought it would. But in this book, they were like the perfect little like side characters. Every time they showed up on the page, I was like, this is so cute. Like, you guys are just so cute. And I love you both. And I love Monty. Like, the found family in the Windy City series is like no other. They have dinners every Sunday, and so you just see everyone all the time. We hear what they're up to, and I just love it. I just eat it up, and I haven't even read Rewind It Back because I'm so scared for this series to end. Like, I'm waiting for the perfect moment to like pick up that book, because I have been waiting for Rio's story. Like, literally since book 1, I've been waiting for that man's story, and it's a second chance. So I'm like, this is perfect. So moving on, the next book I read was Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This book is about Jonathan and Kennedy. They both went to high school together at this like private school. It's very like prestigious. Think like Chilton from Gilmore Girls. That's kind of what I envisioned. And they kind of developed this like unlikely friendship. Jonathan's like very bad boy, like doesn't show up to school, is like constantly rebelling, and Kennedy is very quiet. She just kind of keeps to herself. They bond over these like comics and things like that. And then fast forward, present day, they have a kid together, but they don't really speak. Jonathan is a recovering addict. He's also a actor. So it's just like a lot standing in the way between them and them being happy. But Jonathan is back in Kennedy's lives, and he really just wants to like make amends because he is sober now. He's been sober for quite some time, and he just wants to be in his daughter's life for now on. And yeah, this was so good. I really loved the premise of this book. It honestly felt like a Lifetime movie, but like in the best way possible. I ended up rating it a 4.25 because this book was just like so much drama, but also like realistic at the same time. Like, not in the sense that everyone is gonna like have this movie star boyfriend and things like that, but like the things that they are dealing with, like co-parenting, whether or not their lifestyles are going to meld well enough to, one, have a stable environment for their child, but also to like have a good relationship, because obviously they dated in high school, they dated for quite some time after high school as well, and it just didn't work out, you know what I mean? So just like all these complexities in a relationship of whether or not you want to make things work. I also am not really the biggest fan of single parent tropes, but I did like the kid in this book. I felt like she added a lot to the story, and I don't mean it in the like, oh, she was like making all these big monologues and was so insightful and so impactful. Like, no, she was just a kid. She was there, she was goofy, she was fun. But just her presence just added so much to like the stakes of the book. I honestly don't know if I'm like describing this right. This is why wrap-up videos are so hard, because I'm like, am I making sense? Like, are people going to understand what I'm saying? But I honestly read this book, and towards the end, I didn't know if they were gonna end up together. Like, that's how high of stakes there were in this book. I just didn't know. I did read this book and also listen to the audiobook. I would recommend reading the book over the audiobook. There was some dialogue in the audiobook that like just did not meld well with like the voice actors and like having it read to you. It just felt very cringy. I honestly enjoyed it a lot more when I was just reading the actual words on the pages. So if you are able to read it like that, that's how I would recommend it, just so you get the full experience and things like that. But yeah, 4.25, really enjoyed this book. I know Sarah Caroli highly recommended this book, so yeah. So I actually miscounted how many books I read during June. I read 3, not 2. And honestly, I don't know how I forgot about this book because it was a 5-star read, and that was Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I loved this book, and yes, it was a doozy. Like, it was a heavy read. I had to take a lot of like mental health breaks while reading it just because of how heavy it is. But I still think about this book to this day. Like, it just like really sticks with you, and I do plan on continuing the series, but I just need some time. Okay, I need a little breather. I need some light, fluffy romances and some like outlandish fantasy books in between, but I will continue this series nonetheless. So if you do not know, Beartown is literary fiction, general fiction. I honestly don't know how you would classify it, but it is about this like small town in Sweden that is a hockey town. Like, hockey is just at the center of everything these people do, and they have this like really good junior team for hockey, and they're about to like make it to like the championships, and it's just like a huge thing for this town. Like, everyone is just so involved and so into it, and they're like, this is gonna help our economy. Like, once we win, like, we're gonna get this hockey school, and that's gonna bring something, and all of this stuff. And we get everyone's POV. So we get the players on the junior team, we get the coach of the teams, we get the people on the board for the hockey arena that they play at, we get like the parents of the players, like just everyone's POVs. And it does feel very overwhelming at the start of it, but like after some time you kind of have your recurring favorites. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, like I love their POV. Like, I love this character like Benji. I love Benji. He is my favorite character. Nothing bad better happen to Benji in this series or I'm literally gonna riot. I definitely would recommend looking up any like content warnings before diving into this book because, like I said, it does talk about a lot of heavy topics, one being SA. So if that is something that might be triggering for you, like, make sure you proceed with caution, do your research before diving into this book. But yeah, I just really liked this book, and that's a lot coming from me because I exclusively read female authors. I don't know why, but I just really haven't been melding with male authors, at least the ones that I've read in my adulthood so far. But Frederick Bachman, you have made the list of the male authors that I actually like. So you and John Green are there on that list, okay? Moving on to July, I read 5 books during July, and all of them are romance books. Maybe summer is like my time for romance books. I don't know why. I guess it just makes sense because so many people have been releasing summer romances, and I'm a sucker for a good summer romance. So the first book I read during July was Out of the Woods by Hannah Bowman Young. This is about Sarah and Caleb. It is the companion novel to Out on a Limb by her, and we see Sarah and Caleb a lot in Out on a Limb. They're kind of like the main 2 supporting characters in that book because they're really close to the main female character, Wynn, and they are high school sweethearts. Like, they've been together for a very long time, and they've recently kind of hit like a hard patch in their marriage. This is a marriage in crisis kind of book, and it was my first time ever reading a book with this trope, and I wasn't really sure if it was gonna be for me, but I really enjoyed this trope, and I'm honestly kind of wanting to read more books with this trope. I don't think it's gonna be like a trope I read a lot of, but if you like second chance romances, I think you would enjoy this trope as well, just because you get to see these 2 characters fall in love, like reignite their relationship and things like that. But getting off track, it's about Sarah and Caleb. They're high school sweethearts, and they go on this like marriage retreat to kind of save their marriage. And part of the reason why their marriage like isn't really working out or just like isn't doing the best that it can is, one, Sarah is like kind of dealing with some personal internal issues with her self-esteem, with her self-identity. She doesn't really know who she is outside of her relationship and being Caleb's wife. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Caleb, and he's kind of just like stuck in his routine. He doesn't want to change things up, which is in turn affecting their marriage. So they go to this outdoor retreat, and you just meet like all these different kooky characters, and it's just so much fun. I ended up reading this book a 5 stars. I loved it, like actually loved it. And it's so weird how Beartown could be a 5-star, but then this like fun like romance can be a 5-star as well. But we do get like a then and now timeline in this book, which I just like ate up because we get to see Sarah and Caleb in high school fall in love, and yeah, it was just perfect. I loved it. I also felt like I could really relate to Sarah and Caleb because me and my fiance Nolan are also high school sweethearts, so we have been together for quite some time. We've grown up together, we've changed as people together. Like, I don't know, it's just like really spoke to me and it hit home and I loved it. So moving on, the next book I read during July was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is about Charlie and Alice. It is also technically a companion novel to Every Summer After. Charlie is the big brother of Sam, who is the main male character from Every Summer After, and I would recommend reading Every Summer After before reading One Golden Summer, just because Charlie has amazing character development from that book to this book, and I also feel like that book is needed to know what Charlie has gone through in his past and his history. So that's just my 2 cents there. Obviously, if you don't want to read Every Summer After because you know you won't like it, maybe just hold off, but if you love a good lake summer romance, I would read both. And I ended up rating this book a 4.25. I really loved this book. Like I mentioned earlier, it's about Alice and Charlie. Alice is a photographer and we only get her POV, which I'm a little bit sad about. I would have loved to have Charlie's POV in this book. And basically what like kind of catapulted her love of photography was this like photo that she took of these kids on this like yellow speedboat while visiting her grandmother at the lake one summer when she was like 17. And it kind of has just like shaped her career and her passion for photography and things like that. She also was very shy growing up, so she always like envisioned herself hanging out with these 3 kids, but just never had the nerve to like go up to them and like introduce herself. So fast forward to like present day, she is revisiting that lake again. One, because her grandmother has like taken a fall, she like needs to heal, and she's kind of depressed, she's kind of grouchy, and Alice is like, well, let's take you to the lake, like you have some great memories there, like maybe it's gonna lift your spirits up. But also because Alice has kind of hit this like standstill, this like slump in her career. She doesn't know if her career is headed in the way that she wants it to be headed in, and just wants to take a step back and like kind of focus on what she loves. And that is where she meets Charlie. And it actually turns out that Charlie, Sam, and Percy were those kids on that speedboat. So that's like kind of their like invisible string there. And they just developed this like very unlikely friendship. They do a bunch of like summer fun activities. There's like a bucket list involved. Charlie becomes besties with Nan, Alice's grandmother, and I just eat it up. Like, it is just so good. It just screams summer and it is perfect. I love Charlie. Like, he is probably one of my new favorite book boyfriends. Like, he is just so swoon worthy. This fictional man literally had me like kicking my feet, giggling. I just ate him up. He's just so flirty and extroverted and like arrogant, but like in the best way possible, because he's not arrogant in the sense of like I'm a jerk. He's just like overly confident and full of himself in a fun, cutesy way, and I ate it up. I'm not the biggest fan of Friends to Lovers, but I really did enjoy Charlie and Alice's friendship, especially because they went from strangers to friends to lovers. Like, I don't know, I just think it's like really cute. And yeah, my main grievous about this book is 1, we didn't get Charlie's POV, and 2, just like the culmination of third act breakup tropes at the end of the book. I don't mind a good conflict, like don't get me wrong, like I love drama, I love tension, all of that, but it just felt like so much was happening at the end of the book that like was keeping them apart that it honestly just didn't make sense to me. It felt like the pacing was off just a little bit, which is why it wasn't a 5-star in the end. And yeah, but I still really enjoyed the book. So the third book I read during July was Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. I feel like for such a long time I've been hearing such great things about Annabelle Monaghan as an author, about her books, about her writing, and it was finally time for me to see it for myself. I have had Same Time Next Summer sitting on my shelf for like literally over a year, and all of a sudden I was like, let's pick it up. Like, why not? And I'm so glad I did, because I have basically found a potential new favorite favorite author. After reading this book, I went out and I bought more of her books because I just need more Annabelle Monaghan in my life, okay? Like, she writes such a good summer romance, okay? This book is about Wyatt and Sam. It is second chance. It's childhood friends to lovers. It has then and now timeline. It's a little bit of self-discovery in there. Basically, Wyatt and Sam used to go to this like beach every summer as kids. Their beach houses were like right next to each other. Their families were really close, and they were each other's first loves, okay? Like, they were each other's people. And fast forward to present day, they are no longer on talking terms. They haven't spoken for like years. Sam is now engaged, and she kind of just lives her life very calculated, very by the book. And she hasn't really spent a lot of time back at that beach town because of all the memories that are there. But she's back there because she's planning a wedding. They're thinking about getting married there. It's this whole thing. And she runs into Wyatt. And it's just like this whole thing. Now you're like, Grace, she's engaged. Like, Sam is engaged. She has a fiance. Like, that sounds like cheating. That's a little cheating. Okay, let me tell you this right now. I was very, very hesitant going into this book because of the fact the main female character has a significant other. I don't really like it when second chance romances has the main characters be in relationships, especially serious relationships. It just like doesn't meld well for me. It gives me like an icky vibe. Like, I just can't deal. But I feel like Annabelle Monaghan did a great job of like towing this line and not crossing any boundaries, not making you feel like the main female character is cheating on her significant other, things like that. I really, really love the then and now timeline. Again, it just goes back to the fact that like second chance romances, it's like having two love stories in one, and I really ate it up. My main complaint about this book is that I would have loved to see more of Wyatt and Sam in an adult relationship. We see a lot of their past and how they fell in love, why they broke up, things like that. But when it came to them getting back together as adults, it feels like they just kind of got together and then the book ended. I would have loved to see more of them and like what an adult relationship between the two of them would look like, since the last time they were together was like in high school and in college. So that's how I feel. I think I rated it a 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I definitely see myself picking up more of Annabelle Monaghan's work in the future. So yeah. So moving on, the last 2 books I read during July were both audiobooks. So I guess technically I listened to them, but the first one was I Do With You by Lauren Landish. I listened to this through Kindle Unlimited, so I just downloaded the audiobook on my phone and listened to it. It's about Ben and Hope. Hope is actually a runaway bride. She's about to marry her high school sweetheart, but it just doesn't feel right, so she runs away during their vows, and she runs into Ben, who is a musician, and he is in town because he's kind of just wants a break from his band. Him and his bandmates are like fighting. There's a lot of tension there. He's in this contract with this record label that he doesn't like, so he's there to just kind of disconnect and like chill. So he runs into Hope and they just hit it off immediately. Like, it's kind of a little bit of insta love, and yeah, that is the book essentially. It's really fast. It's like 300 pages. I finished it in like a day. I just like popped it on and just rolled with it. I ended up rating it a 2.5. I didn't love it. I didn't really like how insta-lovey it was. I didn't really like the main male character too much. Like, he's a musician, yes, and normally I like that, but he's like in a heavy metal screamo band and they wear masks and it's just like weird. I don't know. And maybe it was a little bit also of like the audio book narrator I wasn't vibing with, but yeah, this just wasn't my biggest cup of tea. I feel like if it wasn't on Kindle Unlimited and I wasn't already so far in when I realized it wasn't like my type of book, I probably would have DNF'd it. But yeah, just wasn't my cup of tea. I don't really see myself picking up anything else by this author, and if I did, maybe I wouldn't listen to it. I would read it instead. But yeah, moving on to a more positive note, the second audiobook I listened to was Unlikely Story by by Ali Rawson. I think that's how you say her last name. This is also available on Kindle Unlimited, and it's about 300-ish pages, so again, super short, super easy to get through. It's about Nora and Eli. Nora is a therapist based in New York City. She also writes an advice relationship column for this like London-based newspaper, and she is in love with someone that she's never met before, has never seen before, and it is her editor, Jay. They have this like very intimate relationship, this intimate friendship. They share things with one another that they never would share with someone else, and she believes that she's in love with him, that he's like the one person that understands her to a T. And around the time that she is planning on exploring this relationship and visiting him, her very aggravating British neighbor moves in, and his name is Eli, and they just don't get along off the bat. He actually was like a past client of hers. She basically kind of helped his girlfriend at the time break up with him because the girlfriend was a client, and they did like relationship counseling. So there's a little bit of animosity there on both sides, I guess, but they just don't get along, and yeah, chaos ensues. I really liked this book, mainly because it was just so fun and quirky, and there's a lot of fun side characters. Nora lives in a building that's like a co-op, so a lot of like older residents live there, and they're just so fun. They just like want to stick their noses into Nora's business. They want to gossip, they want to like hear about everyone's lives. Like, it's just so fun. And also because this is technically, I think, a closed door romance, and I think I'm finding out that I really like closed door or like fade to black scene romances for audiobooks, because sometimes what is written in a spicy romance book, I do not need to be listening to that. Okay, that is for my eyes only, not for my ears. And I think that's something that I'm slowly kind of coming to terms with since I'm listening to way more audiobooks. But yeah, I ended up reading this a 3.5. I really enjoyed it. I think it was cute, it was sweet, it was fast paced, and highly recommend anything written by Ali Rawson if you're looking for like a good audiobook. I think most of her books are available for free on Kindle Unlimited. I'm actually listening to another one of her books on audio, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah. So before we end off this video, I did want to shed some light into a book I did DNF, and it's kind of a soft DNF. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it, but the door is definitely a little bit cracked open there, and it was Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. I actually started this book during a reading vlog where I read summer romances for a week, and about 30-40% in, I just like kind of got this feeling that I wasn't loving it. I wasn't loving the main male character, the writing style. It just like wasn't meshing, and I just didn't feel pulled to like pick up the book, so I chose to soft DNF it. And this book is a summer romance, obviously, but it is mainly a fake dating show. Basically, the main female character, she works with like a bunch of men. It's a very male-dominated field, and all of them are married, and she is divorced or recently divorced, and one day she's just like had enough of like hearing about these happy couples, and she makes up this lie that she has this husband, but because their marriage is on the rocks, she doesn't wear a ring, she doesn't really talk about it, and her boss is like, oh, you should come to this retreat that my husband hosts every year and that a lot of people, you know, find success in. It might help your marriage. And this is her boss. So she's like, obviously I can't say no because I'm trying to like network and get on your good side. So she's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll go. And she ends up fake dating her best friend's younger brother. So there's a little bit of like an age gap there, a little bit of a reverse age gap, if you will. And here's the cherry on top of everything. He's a billionaire. The main male character is a billionaire. On paper, I really thought I was gonna mesh well with this book just because Out of the Woods centered around a marriage retreat, and I really liked that. I love a good fake dating trope. We love a best friend's brother trope, and like a billionaire romance on top of that. Like, it just had all these different things that I normally really love, but I just didn't love the main male character. He has a lip ring, which is very like 2012 in my head, and it makes me think of like all the Five Sauce fan fiction I used to read as a middle schooler, so I just like couldn't get past that. And then just the writing just like didn't really mesh well with me. It felt very cringy. The main female character would say things like, oh, I thought that was so fire. Like, what? Who says that? Like, who says that. So I ended up soft DNFing it. I might go back to it just to like read a fun but spicy romance, like I don't know. But I did DNF Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. So those are all 10 of the books I read during the summer. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what your favorite summer read was, how many books you read during the months of May, June, and July. I would love to know what your favorite read was. All of that jazz. Would love to just like chat it up in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe. I post videos basically every week, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.